Is that 71 or 71S?
That's 71. That's Neil Muse.
Neil Muse in the 71.
So, Wade, the 69 of BJ Gillespie has a bucket on the top of his car. We were walking through the campground last night after hours, and BJ and a couple of his crew had buckets with lights in them. BJ's bucket had a blue light because we see the underglow on his car has that blue light when the lights come up here at Speedway 660. And he said this helps him get back to the campground or where he's staying for the night. But he said, I'm going to put that in my race car tomorrow. He didn't put it in the race car. He put it on the race car.
We've got a wicked gust of wind here all of a sudden. Whoa, my.
We just lost Victory Lane.
Holy cow. Everybody okay? That was just a quick, wicked. Burst of wind, and it's how powerful it was. It took down the center of the Riverview Ford Lincoln Victory Lane. So let's just hold off here and see if that's a...
Welcome to Tim's Corner Live, episode number 30. Denver. Dylan wasn't there last year for the tornado, so he got to see that. I think, well, he's seen it before, but just a relive of what happened during Speed Weekend last year at Speedway 660. Denver, you remember that?
I remember it well, and I'm kind of disappointed that our good friend Brandon Campbell is apparently not joining us tonight, because apparently he knows a little thing or two about that whole story and whatever caused that tornado and the destruction of Victory Lane. But someone once told me anything can happen on Speed Weekend. That's proof right there.
I've never known Brandon Campbell to be a weatherman, but we will roll with that. For those that are just joining us, Tim Terry, Denver Match, Dylan Langell. By the way, Denver, you are at Speedway Miramichi. Yeah, you're at Miramichi tonight.
We're at a racetrack. We're at Speedway Miramichi. It's kind of crazy. I currently live in Fredericton, which is right by Speedway 660. So, of course, the week of Speed Weekend, I'm in Miramichi. Funny how things work. But yeah, I have a great view tonight. By far the best view I've had on any of our live shows. So hopefully the pigeons don't destroy the eat the cables for the internet, and we can get a full 2-hour show in tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. By the way, it's been a day, Dylan. We got Cassius Clark coming up in a moment, by the way, Oxford 250 winner. We got Danny Chisholm coming up. We got Brent Roy to preview Speedway 660's 250 weekend, including all the action that we have. But it's been a day. Let's address the elephant in the room. IWK 250 is not happening next week. You can point fingers all you want and where you want to and whatever else. We're not here to speculate. The point is it's not happening. We will wait and see what happens. Riverside said they are going to assess the situation and look at the schedule coming up, but the 250 itself is not happening next Saturday.
Yeah, it's a shame. And, and I'll be honest, I found out the same time everyone else did. I was at work doing my radio job. I see my phone light up. It's an email from Riverside. So I'm thinking, it must be about, the car registration. And then I open it up and we get the unfortunate news. And you know what? Like you said, Tim, we could throw the blame 10,000 ways of this and that. Unfortunately, got to play with the cards we're dealt. Hopefully we get a good hand and can potentially get back there. But I don't know anything. I am the announcer there, but I have not heard any plans yet. So we'll just have to wait and see and go week by week. Really, you got to go week by week with everything in the pandemic. So let's focus on what we can do. And that is Speed Weekend coming up. And let me tell you, I am super duper excited. My first Speed Weekend coming up.
Yeah, I finished the press release for the support classes. That'll be up a little bit later on tonight. So many things running in together. And as you mentioned, I think everybody found out about the same time that what was happening was happening. I was on the phone with Mike James from Eastbound when everything started going off, and Dylan lit my phone up and whatever else. And yeah, it's a shock, but we'll roll into that and we'll figure out next week. How about that? We're getting ready for Speed Weekend, but first, want to talk about last weekend. We're going to talk Island ICF and Toymaster Motorsports 50 with Danny Chisholm a little bit later on. But first, let's get into the big one of the week. It's the Oxford 250, and it was a Nova Scotia car going to Victory Lane with a very familiar face to those from Nova Scotia. It is the driver of the number 13, and we'll get Paul to get ready here so we can load our guest in. That is the wrong piece of B-roll, but we will roll with the Oxford 250. Cassius Clark is our first guest on the show here this evening, and we'll put a couple of buttons together and see if this all works. There we go. Cassius, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. Thanks for taking some time out. I'm sure your week has been busy. How's it been since Sunday evening?
Yeah, pretty awesome, pretty surreal, really. So just kind of a relief to finally pull that one off. And, for so many people, me personally, and, everybody involved, Rolly, Andrew, my dad, the whole crew, it's pretty awesome.
Take us through the night for those that weren't watching on Speed 51 TV. Had that little dent in the door with a little bit of contact. Was it early in the race? What transpired? How did you get to Victory Lane with that 13 car?
Just awesome teamwork, really. Started, mid pack. I think we started 25th, and slowly started, working to the front. I got behind a bunch of guys that were, kind of sliding around. I didn't like the looks of where I was at. I didn't feel comfortable. So kind of jumped to the outside and passed a bunch of the cars, probably 40, 50 laps in on the outside there, and got to the guy that was kind of holding up the pack, and he got, harpooned out of the way and shot into my outside groove and drug us to the back again. So kind of had to regroup and reposition and finally worked our way up towards the front, got in the top 10 there, and they had we stopped for 2 tires at like lap 90 with a few others, Johnny Clark and Bubba and, a host of others. And then slowly started working our way to the front again, got in position where we were probably, close to the top 5 at the like 180 mark, where everybody was pitting for 4 tires. Crew had an awesome pit stop, got us out, second place. And that's when the big wreck happened. There was a bunch of lap cars that was starting in front of the leaders there, and a couple guys got together, and we just narrowly escaped that. Did get some damage to the right side there, but was able to keep marching forward and hold them off for the rest of the race.
We're live and interactive here this evening with Cassius Clark, driver of the number 13 in the Oxford 250 champion. If you got a question or a comment, be sure to drop it on the Facebook page and we will get to it. Now, the final couple of laps, Curtis Gary behind you. He's won that race before, trying to get back to Victory Lane. What were the thoughts the last couple of laps trying to hold off that 7 car?
Yeah, I know he was quick. There's things that you do as a driver, when you lead the race and there's a guy close to you. You kind of slow down and make them go around you. And I felt like that would be, hard to do. I mean, he can always, run into you and knock you out of the way, but, you can always repay the favor too. So I was pretty comfortable, where we're at. I felt good with our, our speed, obviously. He goes really, really well at Oxford. So it's definitely, nerve wracking, but I like to be out front and saw the white flag there and gave it everything we had, and he gave me a little shot. Turn 2 was kind of like a little bit of a bump draft, gave me a little extra speed going down the backstretch there, and was able to get into 3, and he gave us a pretty good shot, but I think he bounced it off the curb there, so we beat him to the line, and the feeling was unbelievable.
And that's just it, pulling into Victory Lane after you and your father for a combined about 20 years have tried to win this race. What did it mean to finally get that monkey off your back?
Relief. I just feel like, that with him and me and it's just like we should have could have won this race like so many times, and it's just been so painful to keep losing it and, win all these other races. Obviously, we've been fortunate in Canada, won a lot of the big races up there, and even down there, we run the Mason-Dixon and always seem to run well. But this one here just had snake bitten us for so long. So to finally get it off, first it was a relief, and now you're starting to think back on it and enjoy it. So hopefully we can go back next year and win it and celebrate it a little bit more than feel relieved.
And to work with this team that you have with Andrew Hick and Rowley and Judy and everybody around you, obviously, you had Canada on your back. There was no other real Canadian team there. What did it feel to get into victory lane with those guys and kind of have the Maritimes on your back?
Yeah, I obviously, since I've been hooked up with them, originally, when I started racing Pass, we raced a lot in Canada, especially at, Scotia Speedworld. And, I had success there before I had teamed up with Rowley. And then obviously since then, we've raced in Canada more than I have in the US. So I feel at home up there, love all the great fans there. The people are awesome. And then obviously Andrew, him and I's relationship, we met in North Carolina together, and then, meeting Rowley and raced with Rowley, Judy, that whole team, it's amazing. And then, everything, not just about me and my dad and Andrew, Rowley had tried that race for forever too, and teamed up with Scotty Frazier there, and he should have won that thing 2 or 3 times. Just everything. I can remember back in 2003, it was my first attempt at it, and I actually won the heat race and started third, and Scotty, he was on the pole and dominated most of the race, and I think he had a track bar break. So just anything can happen in the race. You got to realize that. Even with our right side damage there, Andrew sent me a picture of the tire today, and there was a huge gash in it. So you got to have luck, and everything's got to go right.
And looking at this team, obviously with the border restrictions and COVID and all that fun stuff that we've been dealing with, you've only had a couple of starts in the race car this year. How quick did it take to really click at that Honey Badger 150 when you guys drove it up front too?
Well, Austin was down there and we tested, a day before the race there. And I felt pretty comfortable, first few laps, got up to speed pretty well. And I did, we lucked out, and well, I guess we had a bad draw there, but was able to get to the front and, started on the outside pole. So obviously, a lot of people up there have seen me lead races, and that's where I like to be to set the pace and kind of dictate what goes on. And, we were fortunate enough to do that. And so that went really well. And then, unfortunately at Oxford there, we got kind of a bad draw in the heat and had to start mid pack, which is, far from ideal. So kind of had to adapt to it and, work with what we got.
For those that kind of sit out of the car for a while, I think of a guy like a John Fleming or a Wayne Smith up here who, kind of went into that semi-retirement sort of deal and don't get a whole lot of time in the race car, then hop in and do those one-off starts and might not necessarily have the sharpness. You come into 2 races this year and you're up front. What did you do in the off season to kind of help you keep sharp to get that opportunity to get back in the race car and run it up front?
I don't know. I watched some NASCAR stuff, drank some Bud Light, and slept at a Holiday Inn Express, I guess. So, just wanting to do it. It's passion. It's my passion. I love racing. It's my favorite thing to do. I wish I could do it, every day. So I'm always, biting my fingernails off, waiting for the next one.
We are live and interactive here this evening. Drop us a question or a comment, and we'll get it to Cassius. Dylan Langell, what do you got for C Money?
Well, we got a couple of things, and I might as well ask this question, Tim, because I'm sure it'll come up a few times. Number one, C Money, want to congratulate you on the big win this weekend. It was great watching it. I'm sure a few fans are wondering, with the 250 happening in Fredericton, are you making the trek across the border or staying home in the U.S. this year?
I'm going to stay home for the 660 race, just, with the damage that we, received the car and Andrew getting, all his customer cars ready. It was going to be for a short week. And you got to go into that race, with just like you do the Oxford 250. It's a long race, and just didn't really have the time to do it. And I've been busy down here. Would love to do it. It just didn't work out this year. We kind of planned on, going to the IWK 250, to be honest with you. And just a couple hours ago, we realized that was canceled. So I'm not exactly sure when our next race will be.
Do you have any of the other big races coming up in coming months, like a snowball, or what's on the radar for King Racing and yourself?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it just kind of depends on how everything goes. The King Racing shop there is really, really busy right now. They're building a bunch of new race cars that are, obviously really, really fast, and they've got a good base of customers up there. They're just trying to expand the business. So the customers pay the bills, so I can show up and race. So we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, obviously there's some bigger races, later down the road that we want to get to, but they're trying to develop Austin too. So I think that's the main focus is get him behind the seat and get him comfortable and race him as much as they can. And then maybe break me out for a couple of the bigger races.
Looking at our Facebook feed, Brent Patterson's watching, always checks in on TCM Live, and he's wondering where you got your start in racing. Of course, it's a family affair for yourself, right?
Yeah, my dad, started racing when he was 15. Raced for a few years there, and kind of took some time off. But back in the mid '80s, he started racing again when I was my boy's age. And raced all the way to like 1992. So it's something I grew up with. We were fortunate enough to travel around with him. He raced Bush North there. So did that. And, it's something that I always wanted to do. And I finally got the opportunity when I was 17. So I started out in legend cars and raced those for 2 or 3 years. And then we moved right into the Pass Series.
Brent's also wondering, what's your favorite race memory with Scott Fraser? Was that at Oxford 250 in 03 the only time you got to race side by side with him, or any other times before his passing in 04?
Yeah, no, So there was a big dog race down at Cassius. It was $100,000 to win, and he was racing Rolly's car. Then we were pitted right next to each other. So talked to him a lot there. He actually, I actually had a Hanley car, my first car from Dan Eddy there, the guy that owned my car, had did a trade with him to acquire that. So talked to him about that. I believe he mounted the body on that car, and I was friendly with Andy Shaw, and him and Andy were raced together through the years. So just always super friendly guy. And then he kind of went ASA racing and watched him do that, and was even in Concord there. His last race, they were going to the snowball right after that, and unfortunately he got in a wreck there down at Concord and burnt the car up. So they were forced to withdraw from the snowball. But always was a big fan. He was he was a super smart guy, and happy to have known him.
Throw back to you, Tim.
I want to ask you kind of mentioned about the King Racing deal and the customers, and Andrew and those guys have been on a roll the last couple of weeks, obviously with you guys at the 250, but Craig Slonwhite's won the last 2 East Coast International Pro Stock Tour races. Austin's done well in his races that he's run. Obviously, Corey Hall's picked up a couple of big wins in the province of New Brunswick. What does it mean to be a part of that team and that success with Rolly and Judy and Andrew, not only as driving a race car, but being able to put their stuff up front?
Yeah, Andrew kind of came in and it was going to be, him, crew chief, and Rolly pretty much. That's kind of what it was there. Just to see it grow has been amazing. Obviously, Rolly got hurt with his dump truck there, and Andrew was he gave me the first call, the first opportunity to come back in 2012. I was racing full time for Height then, and tried to fit him in anytime I could, and just had, meshed really well together. Like I said, love Judy and Rolly and the whole family there and the whole team. So everything clicked. And then I believe, we had some success in 2012 there. I guess we won a couple of the 250s, and then they had an opportunity to rent the car out for 2013. And I think that kind of started it off, and then they just, snowballed from there. So to see that happen, I'm super, super happy for Andrew, because, he does it for a living. He's got his brother helping him out there, and Corey Hall, super nice young guy, super talented, behind the wheel and even working on him. And it was nice to have him down there, to help us in the 250.
You've had a lot of big 250 wins in the Maritimes. Is there any one that stands out over the others?
In the Maritimes, yeah, probably the last IWK. We came in there with a mission, and definitely want to make a statement on that one, and that one felt really, really, really good.
And you're the only driver to win all 3 Maritime 250s. I know Craig Slonway was chomping at the bit with the success that he's had with his King Racing car to get to the IWK 250, but now that it's canceled, there's no way for him to get that. What does it mean to be the only driver to win all 3 of those Maritime 250s?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, there's been, so many guys that have tried to do it. I mean, I want to do it in the same year. And we came really, really, really close to that. Had some unfortunate circumstances that happened there. But yeah, to be the first to do that, it's awesome. And hopefully I get to get back up there and run a couple more of them.
Obviously the Speedway 660 250 is this weekend coming up. For those that have never been, that are watching the show, that are thinking, hey, I want to get to a racetrack this weekend. Why should they get to Speedway 660 to watch the 250? Give us a little sales pitch.
Well, it sounds like there's not anything else going on. So, yeah, definitely go to it. But, it's an awesome time. They start there, I think, with their Friday night deal. They usually have a big party and everything. The fans all interact and if you like to hang out with the other drivers and fans and do all that, then it's a good time to do that. And then you practice Saturday there, and they have I think they still have that sportsman race on the Saturday night. That's usually a long one. So I would recommend maybe wearing a coat and dressing warm. But it's a big event for those guys. And then obviously Sunday, the qualifying and getting ready for the 250, and obviously. It's one of the bigger races, if not the bigger one. I don't know what the purse payout is now, but obviously when I was up there, it was pretty huge. I mean, I think it was up until Sunday, it was the biggest payday that I had in my career. So they pay lap money, so the drivers are out there trying to collect that, and then trying to nail down the win. So it's something if I was in the area, I would miss.
I think Cassius hit the nail on the head, Denver. Long sports and race on Saturday night. We've been there a couple of times. What do you got for Cassius Clark, Denver?
First of all, Cassius, I want to offer congratulations on the big win in the Oxford 250. I know there was a lot of people, including myself, that wish we could have been down there with all the crazy border restrictions. We had to settle to watch live, but an exciting finish. And I kind of want to start there. You kind of touched on the battle with the 7G and Curtis Gary, but that's something we've seen many times before. What was going through your mind? Because I know there's been several races over the last 3-4 years since he went on his little hot streak where you've been leading and dominated, and then he came out of nowhere at the end. And then we see the same thing, but you were able to hold him off this time. What was kind of going through your head when you saw him coming?
Yeah, I knew he was going to be fast, but we've learned from that. So and I've learned how to actually, I wasn't racing a lot of past races, so the tires were obviously much, much different than what they are in the, up in the Maritimes there. So to get back used to those, and to get the feel for what my car needed, at the very end of those races, Andrew, even last year we went down was super fast, and we came up short, and he worked hard at it all winter, and it paid off. Our first race there, we had a bullet, and nobody could touch us. And then this year, it was really, 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 super fast. So I felt really confident that, our car was good. He was going to be there. When someone's behind you, their foot's a little longer than normal too. It's usually easier to follow someone than it is to lead them. So, I was comfortable, and I was ready for it.
So I want to ask you about the track down at Oxford. For people in Atlantic Canada who maybe have never seen Oxford Plains Speedway before, it's quite a unique track. It's got lots of racing groups. Describe what it's like to turn laps around Oxford.
Yeah, it's it's a track that's it's all by itself, really. Super round, super flat. So it's a a track that you basically have to drive on eggshells. It's not a horsepower track. It's a momentum track. And then obviously, so many cars, so close of competition that you got to, pick your spots, pick your battles, and in a long race like that, stay out of trouble, and just try to be there at the end.
Absolutely. And obviously when you get 60, 70 cars, there's a lot of people out there that can win, and it's certainly a tough feat. You got the win this year, and Johnny Clark got it last year, and both of you said tried for so long to get it. So, do you think now that you got the first one that the second one, that confidence, that momentum, it might come a little easier?
Yeah, I really do. I felt so much pressure to actually to do this. I put it on myself. I know that Andrew put it on himself. It's just a race that I wanted badly. It just let it slip so many times that it wears on me. Like every time that we lose, I can't wait till 365 days till it comes back to redeem yourselves. To me, losing's embarrassing. So I don't like doing it. And then obviously now we're able to do it. I think I can focus more on winning it and doing what I have to do behind the wheel just to make that happen rather than just worrying about it not happening.
You mentioned the pressure you had, and you've mentioned how close you've been a couple times. Is there one Oxford 250 in particular that up until this weekend you look back on and wondered what could have been?
Well, 06, back in my old 8-car days, I think we won 7 races that year and finished second 4 times, and then every other race we blew up. So that race there, we were going for the lead, and it blew up, and I felt like that was a really good chance. 05, we were really fast. And then with my height years, we had some good cars. There was one year that we pitted really late and they didn't have any yellows. We were kind of charging towards the front and just kind of ran out of time. And then in the 13 car back in 2017, we led 120 something laps, was up front, was charging back through the field and got spun out with 50 to go and had to, repit and try to fight our way back, to the front there and ended up third. So everything, went right this year. Fortunately, it seemed like every other year, things went wrong. So it was nice to finally, make that happen.
So what's next for you on your bucket list? Obviously, the Oxford 250 is a huge race to win. You've got a bunch of wins in the Maritimes. You've got the past championship. What's next? Is it the Snowball Derby or is it there another big race? What do you want to do next on your bucket list?
Yeah, I guess the Snowball would be, the next one. We've been down there a handful of times. And, the first year in 06, I was down there in the 8-car. We led, 40 or 50 laps and was in contention until something took us out on a pit stop. We went back in 07 and qualified 5th and was going for the lead and got wrecked by a lap car. 09, I went down there with a super fast car that Andrew helped me with. Crashed out in practice, had a mechanical failure. And then, went down there with Rowley a couple years. We were okay, but then we went there in 2017, ended up 5th. So I think that's a race that we've shown that we can run up front. And I think now that they have changed the rules without the NASCAR, the pit crews and stuff like that. That's kind of where we were getting beat a lot, even back in my old 8-car days. So I don't like that style of racing. I like to be able to have it a live, pit stop, but you're too far behind, the guys with all the money and the, that knows everybody for the pit crews and stuff like that. So if we can get back there and do that and don't have to worry about the pit stops as much, I think we'd have a good shot at it.
Before I throw it back to Tim, we've talked about Speed Weekend being this weekend. I want to ask you about one of your 250 wins at Speedway 660 in particular, and it was the 2015 race, and I think you led like 242 or 245 out of the 250 laps. You absolutely dominated that race. One of the most dominating performances ever. What do you remember from that day?
$30,100. Yeah, just a big win, like super fast car. I remember they had 3 laps, so it was $1,000 to lead those laps. Just huge event. A lot of good guys there. Some of the guys from down my way came up, and that day just everything was perfect. So you don't get many of those days at the racetrack, but the ones that you do, you certainly remember.
Dylan, I know there's some returns on social media. What do you got over there for questions?
Yeah, we're starting to get some stuff brewing up here. Well, this might be a question for you partly, Tim. Jordan Vino, our good buddy from the Pro Stock Tour, is watching. He wrote, is there anyone that has more 250 wins now in the Maritimes collectively?
I don't think so. Cassius, how many do you have now?
In the Maritimes?
Total.
I think I've got 9 in the Maritimes. Well, we had 5 Cat 250s. We had the IWK, and then 3 660s. So what's that, 9? And then I won the Mason-Dixon Meltdown, and then we just won the Oxford 250. So
yeah, so there's a few there. Yeah, Dylan. So I think to answer Jordan's question, I don't think there is.
That's a couple there. Mike Rayburn's wondering, Cassius, what advice would you give to a kid starting out in racing?
Just be passionate about it. Ask questions. Show that the people that you're asking questions to, that you are passionate about it. Show that you have the fire to want to do it, and keep your head on straight. Work what you want, and try to surround yourself with great people.
Our good buddy Joey Mosier's watching. He's wondering, Cassius, who is the toughest competitor you've raced against in the Maritimes? And you've been racing in the Maritimes for well over a decade now. Any competitors that come to mind that when you get to the track, okay, this guy or girl is going to be around me the entire time today?
Yeah, well, obviously, when we first started, it was Scotty. So it was Scotty and Benji that were, racing for the wins there. Lately, I think the 67 car there, Blakehorn, I think he's probably, one of the best. I know he doesn't race a whole lot anymore, but I think when he does, he's probably one of the guys to beat for sure.
Are there any drivers you're keeping your eye on that are up and coming? Maybe like a Cole Butcher who's knocking off some big wins?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, Austin, he came down to Oxford and he impressed me. Started up front and stayed up front. So I haven't seen him race a whole lot. I know we always did well in the legend cars, but they weren't really around us that much. So that was super impressive. I mean, there was a big field there, and I know he's been running well up there. So if he can get the finishes he deserves, and I know he's running up front, that, and then obviously Corey Hall, I think he's really coming into his own this year. Obviously, winning all the races, and then even the Tucker boy, he's he was in a car that a guy couldn't win with, and he's out there, winning all the time with it. So I think that shows for his talent.
One more before we throw back to Tim in Denver. Who do you think is the favorite to win the Remax 250 this weekend?
I don't know. Like I said, I think those guys that we talked about there, I think, Austin had a win over there, ran up front, and Corey, and then obviously Ashton Tucker there. I think those three guys are probably going to be the ones to beat.
Heavy hitters, Tim.
Absolutely there. I kind of want to expand on Denver's question a little bit earlier on too. He mentioned the bucket list races that you want to win. Is there any race that you haven't been to yet that you and maybe Andrew have kind of thought about and kind of circled saying, hey, we'd like to at least get into this one and try to take that one away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest races. I mean, the Crown Jewels, I never had a chance to race Winchester. I mean, I think that would be fun. It's kind of a animalistic kind of track. I think it's one that you can, kind of really get after as a driver. He puts together a supercar, so longevity, the 400 laps would be, upper alley. Never been to Winchester, but it looks fun. I went to the Nashville 400 one time when it was a pass race, and we had some mechanical failures there. So be nice to get back there and get a shot at that. And then, obviously the Derby, I think those are the other three big ones than Oxford. So, if you could win the four of those, then I'd probably retire.
Now we've got Danny Chisholm coming up on the show here in a bit, and he's running a legend car under Corey Hall and Scott McLean and those guys. And you mentioned the legend car at the start of your racing career. There's some of these big events now with the Maritime League of Legends Tour that they're there the Saturday night before a Sunday show or the Friday before a Saturday show. Have you had any inkling of ever getting back into a legend car? If you were offered one of these nights, would you hop in?
Well, it was kind of funny. When I used to come up there and pass, I raced with Cy Harvey quite a bit, and I'd be hanging out on the back of my car, leaning on the spoiler like I usually do, and he'd come strolling up and jump out and tell me to jump in, and I'd go out and practice with the guys. So I did that back in the past days. But I actually ran one of Austin's cars at Scotia there. We didn't have very good luck with it, so parked it. But yeah, I mean, I race anything. I've raced lawnmowers before. I race bikes, whatever. I like to race. So, and you talked about Danny there. He's a super awesome kid. I think he's got a bright future. He's determined, and I think he's got everything it takes to be a superstar someday.
You mentioned Cy Harvey. He just bought an FZ09 car here, I think last week. So he's got a couple of 1250s around if you ever find yourself looking for a race car to hop into.
Yeah, well, you never know.
You mentioned the team a little bit earlier. You mentioned the guys that are around you. Who's on this team? Marketing partners, obviously, on the race car. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, well, obviously, Rolly and Judy, they assembled, an awesome team with Andrew. Andrew's not only a crew chief and a setup guy and everything, but he's like the team manager. He can pull everybody together, makes everybody better. Has a really, really good group of guys that are really fun to race with. So anytime we go to a race, no matter where it is, we really enjoy ourselves. So can't thank all those guys enough.
It's been great catching up with you, Cassius. Congratulations once again on the Oxford 250 win. And we look forward to catching up to you sometime when you're back up here and doing some racing. All the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you guys. And hopefully we can get rid of this pandemic and go racing again.
Hopefully so. That's Cassius Clark, the Oxford 250 champion. And Denver coming out. We keep talking about 660, but coming up, we got a Friday night show here on Tim's Corner TV. The Car Star Weekly Racing Series returns.
Absolutely. It's what I believe 2 races left for the points championship, Tim, for the Car Star Weekly Racing Series. And it's been a great season, albeit the pandemic season and everything. It's been lots of excitement, some great racing, and I got to one of them. It's great. If you haven't been to a Car Star Weekly Racing Series race yet this year, you got 2 weeks left to check it out, or you can watch live on Tim's Corner TV.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fun show that we've had here the last couple of weeks with the Car Star Weekly Racing Series. Racing has been phenomenal. We're going to chat with Danny in just a few moments about it. He is the point leader at Scotia Speedworld, but 2 races left to go, and we keep talking about the schedule being mismatched around a little bit, Dylan, and there is no IWK 250. Now, Scotia never technically canceled their September 10th show. That was the plan if the IWK 250 weekend went on, because you don't want to conflict with 2 racetracks less than 90 minutes apart with the same divisions that are running. So as far as I know, that September 10th card is still on. So that'll be this week for points. And the weather is looking better. The hurricane or the post-tropical storm or what have you that is coming through, it looks like it's going to clear in time for us to race on Friday. I'm kind of hoping that it does, so we can get some racing in, but we beat weather already once this year. So we'll see what happens. And Jason Pickles said Petty is back for the 11th. I guess they must have made that announcement. We knew that a little bit earlier today, Denver, that Petty was coming back for that 11th card. Things are changing, and I'm sure there's going to be some more changing as we go throughout. But Denver schedules keep changing, but let's talk about next weekend, because I know you guys have a pretty big show coming up at Miramichi too.
We do have a pretty big show in Miramichi, and we're fortunate to have been virtually unaffected by a lot of the craziness that's been going on with the schedule changes and whatnot. But back to school smash, for those that were here last year or were paying attention, this was the race last year where we set the modern era record, where that picture's taken where they're lined up for the dash for cash for demolition, 3 wide, about 15 rows deep, total of 67 demolition cars in the pits. It was nuts. And it's looking like it's going to be another big field. We have not had less than 50 cars all year for demolition. So it's been pretty phenomenal. And I wouldn't doubt, that 60 car mark is the threshold for 3,000 to win. And I know we want to hit that, but it's not just a big demo show. It's Kids Day at Speedway Miramichi, autograph session, kids rides, lots of festivities. I know Barry's been working hard on that. September shakedown for street stocks, a 50-lap race for the street stock division. This is the big chance to shake down for the very best fall shootout. And we kind of made a post earlier this week after, and we haven't talked about this yet. You were on PEI. Congratulations to Jim Tingley. What a story, him winning the Street Stock 100 at Oyster Bed Speedway as part of the Maritime Street Stock Series. But the finale for that's up next at Speedway Miramichi, October 2nd. And this will be the Street Stock drivers' chance to test for that race. Plus Bomber, Mini Stocks, lots of excitement. September is big race season. And there's lots of big races to come for sure. And Dylan, I know you got to go back racing on the dirt this week and get a little down and dirty.
By the way, Paul, you can come back to us. We're I'm trying to diagnose Danny Chisholm's technology issue. So if I'm on the phone over here, but by the way, take a look at his hat. By the way, I don't know, where am I? Over here? No, over here. Mr. Langel's hat. That is a Rick Balser hat. And what did you tell us earlier before you came on?
Well, Rick well, Sir Dr. Dirt was kind enough to offer some hats to the fans at Valley, and he said, hey, you guys get first pick, and he had it in his hand right next to me, Tim, so I took him up on the offer, and I got a big head. I'm a very, very smart man, as you can tell, and I need a big hat for this big head, and it fits perfectly. It kind of addressed a few things. Jason Pickles mentioned that Petty is running. They confirmed that on their Facebook while we were chatting with Cassius. They going to confirm their divisions, but a little shake up for all the divisions. But yeah, Denver back on the dirt at Valley Raceway. Tim was down there on Sunday. You don't know how good it felt being back there with all the boys on the track again, seeing all the fans. And the day went great. We had a low car count, but the first race in almost 2 years. We had 6 cars in our 4-cylinder division, 5 apiece in our 8-cylinder and the modified division. But I'll tell you what, the racing was wicked. For every single race, we had a first-time driver, first-time winner, first time this kid, Keaton Bent, 14 years old, first time racing dirt, gets a feature win. It was really, really cool, and it was great to be back with Greg Banks and Peggy Gould, the owners of Valley Raceway. We're looking for some big things in 2021. Our next event is coming up Sunday, September the 12th. So coming up in a few weeks' time, it would have been part of this whole giant IWK 250 weekend, but with the 250 not exactly happening, we don't know what's going to happen on the 11th now, but we know we're going to be going to the dirt track Sunday, September 12th. It's going to be fun. NSValleyRaceway.net, Valley Raceway on Facebook, and if you got a car, oh my goodness, we're back open for business.
So now the problem is I was faced with the fact of we're running a 250. I'm not going to the dirt track on Sunday after a 250. I know you are. It would be a busy weekend, whatever, was starting with Wednesday, Thursday practice, whatever going through. Now we could potentially be, if there is no race on that weekend, and we don't know what's going to go on September 11th, by the way, the next thing would be Miramichi. Do I want to go at like a 5.5 hour drive to Valley from Miramichi? We're going to have a conversation.
Both of you should. Both of you should.
Are you going to Valley on Sunday?
Maybe.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Paul, roll the B-roll of Danny Chisholm, because I think we have this figured out. Driver of the number 87 Eastern Powder Coatings Bruce Auto Group legend car. Let's see if we can do this, and we'll see if we can hook up with the winner of the Island ICF and Toymaster Motorsports 50 for the Maritime League of Legends Tour round number 4 from the Saturday evening at Oyster Bed Speedway. Danny Chisholm is sort of sideways right now. Turn your phone the other way. See if that works. That's somewhat better. And a car behind him that from a gentleman we just talked to. Danny, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tim. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. We're showing highlights from Saturday night at the Island ICF 50. I guess we'll start there and work our way backwards. Obviously, Prince Edward Island is one of those racetracks that's kind of hard to get a hold of. How did you manage to, A, get to victory lane, and B, hold off that 98 car in your rearview mirror for the last 15 laps?
Well, I mean, it definitely was a hard one. I know that for sure. Craig definitely laid the pressure on me pretty good. The car was good all day. We just kind of went with what we had Friday night. We have a good mojo going there, so we don't want to mess with the car too much. So we just kind of ran with what we had and tried to make adjustments from there. And I went in the race knowing that it would probably tighten up, and I think we were just a little too tight. And Craig was all over me, but now that I've got a few more races under my belt, I'm able to start holding some of these guys off.
And there's still a few more of those Maritime League of Legends Tour races left. But I want to talk about Scotia before we go. We are live and interactive here this evening with Danny Chisholm. So drop us a question or a comment, and we'll get it on the air this evening. But Scotia Speedworld, you have really clicked there this season in that 87 Legend car. And I know the last couple of weeks, you've really turned up the wick. Leading the points, 2 races to go. When we started the season, did you anticipate being in this spot with 2 to go?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of did. With the people that are around me and all the people that have been helping me, I knew that I had the winning car. I had the opportunity to get it done, and I just needed to put myself into that position. Last year we struggled a little bit, just trying to working with an older car and trying to get money saved up to go and do legend car racing and doing right. And we ordered a car over the winter and got it brand new car, and Scott McLean and Corey Hall went to work and made it a bad, fast race car. And at the start of the year, we struggled a little bit with, what's going on and trying to get it right, trying to get all the bugs fixed out. I mean, it was the first year for really Hoosier tires around here. So we had to kind of work at that. And we just kind of hit our stride and started putting it all together. So
Scott kind of stopped me in the pit area on Friday night. And he said, listen, we found something. And he told me he went back to a setup that he tried in the mid 2000s when he was running up in front and winning championships in the 61 car. So to have Scott helping you out and being on the crew and being able to pull that knowledge, how cool is that to have that in the back pocket?
Yeah, I mean, it's really everything. You need a kind of mentor in the group, and Corey's been that, and Corey has kind of been the person to lead the forefront, come up with new things. But Scott's a great guy to bring his past and bring his experience to the team and kind of give us these insights that new people to it all don't really have. Scott just he's so right on all the time, and he's just so involved in it that we hit it. We never have mistakes. I always struggled early on in my racing to make sure that the car was good, make sure that we didn't have stuff falling off. And now that's not even a worry in my head. I'm just worried about going fast and winning races.
And you're a part of that team, and it kind of comes to where we came with Cassius in the last segment about being around a team that you guys are hitting everything right. And it's not just you. It's Brad Eddy. It's Craig McDonald. It's anybody that steps into a legend car. Obviously, being on this momentum and being on this roll, how much of a momentum is it going into a big weekend like Speedway 660 on Speed Weekend, knowing that you guys have your stuff together?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. I haven't really been able to do a lot at 660 racing wise because Bandos and Legend cars don't run weekly there. So, it kind of helps me out a little bit because with my inexperience, everyone has some inexperience at 660. It's not a track that guys get to run all the time at. I don't have to play catch up. We're going to be able to go there. Corey has got the setup figured out. Scott's going to be having the car all ready to go. So I'm excited to hopefully go to Friday night as long as the rain doesn't come and get a win there, and then go to 660 with a car that can be competitive and run up front.
So you got the trophy in the Bando Blast last year, moving into the Legend cars, going into Speedway 660. There are 2 races this weekend instead of just one. How do you set yourself up for a big weekend? You mentioned nobody really has track time, but it's a huge weekend with the 250 coming up on Sunday. What's the mindset going in? Trying to pick up 2 wins on a racetrack that you had success in last year in the Bando.
Yeah, I think we just got to be vigilant, make sure that everything's right on the car. With these Legend cars, I mean, they're so aggressive. We're really using up the car for all 50 laps. It's not like a pro stock. You're not riding. You're not trying to save. You're just going all out. So, I mean, in between the races, Saturday night, I'm sure we'll be staying up late, making sure everything's right, getting some fresh eyes on the car in the morning, checking it all over. And I think that's really where we've been a step ahead of everyone else this year. While other guys are struggling with part failures or different things that have set them behind, we're hitting everything right. And all we got to worry about is making that car a little bit faster every single time we go to the racetrack.
You've done the Winter Nationals deal where we've done 5 races in a row or 5 races in 4 days. This grind going to Scotia on Friday night and then 660 Saturday, Sunday, or going to PEI or going to Petty Raceway. How much experience can you draw from Winter Nationals? Just that rhythm trying to get into these multiple races at a time.
Yeah, I mean, it really does kind of get you prepared for those late nights and early mornings going to the racetrack and just having to try to get some sleep when there's not really much to get from. I know the biggest thing that I'm going to relate to is in 2019, we went and I ran, I think Friday night with the Bando, and then went and ran 660 with the Legend car and the Bando on Saturday, and then went and run Sunday in Wiscasset with the Legend car, came back and ran Monday in PEI with the Legend car and the Bando. And that day, Monday, I was able to get the win in the Bando and in the Legend car. So, I mean, it was quite the weekend. And I think that that's kind of where I'm going to come from, because we're going to have to run Friday night. I'm gonna have to run Saturday and Sunday. So I'm just gonna kind of put in that same method of just grind and make sure that I get enough sleep before the races and make sure that the car is right on for when we hit the racetrack.
We are live and interactive here this evening with Danny Chisholm. Be sure to drop us a question or a comment and we'll get to it. I know social's a little bit quiet here on this end, Dylan, but what do you got for Danny Chisholm?
Are they scared of Danny?
Oh, the only one that's there is Brandon Campbell, and we know he's scared of nobody, so.
He's fearless.
No comment.
He's fearless. Well, Danny, I want to congratulate you on the year you've had so far. You're doing pretty well. How cool is it to see basically your we'll call it a King Racing stablemate, see Money getting the big win at Oxford 250. How cool is that for him?
Yeah, it was really cool. we were coming home from PEI there and stopped off at Corey's house and got to watch the race there with Scott Hall and just watch it on his couch. We were on pins and needles the whole time. It was pretty fun to watch and super, super excited to see them finally get it done. I know how much Andrew talked about it, what he said he would do to win, and how much effort went into the car. I was able to see how much time they put in. And it was really cool for me to watch, all that effort, all that work come to fruition.
So you're just doing the legend racing this year. Last year you did legends, you did a little bit of bando. What do you miss about the bandolero racing? And I mean, you're a young guy, but you've been doing bandolero racing for a long time, and now that part of your career is in the mirror, we'll say.
Yeah, I guess I started bandos when I was 8, so I guess I had kind of like 8 or 9 years of experience. So it was a lot of time in the bando. I had a few people ask me that same question and kind of said, I don't really miss it that much. I did it a lot. We did a bunch of racing. It was fun while it lasted, but it always gets a lot more exciting when you get to move up to that next step and kind of become the small fish again in a big sea and have to put yourself and challenge yourself. I like racing away. Scott Hall kind of put that into me that it's best to go up to places like we went to Wisconsin. We went to Oxford in 2019 in my first year of legend car racing because you're never going to learn if you race the same people every week or kind of get stagnant. You got to be pushing yourself every single time you go on the racetrack and to be better.
With those legend cars, Danny, and you going to different tracks, what do you have to change up from a race by race basis?
Most of the time it's gears. That's the main thing, just changing the rear gears to match the racetrack or where else you're going, right? Because Riverside's a whole lot bigger than Scotia. So you got to kind of change the gears, and then often we'll change springs or sometimes the caster camber in the car. Just little stuff. We don't really take big swings at it. We're not changing all kinds of stuff. It's not NASCAR. We're just running legend cars, so there's not too much that you can change. But yeah, often it's just gears and springs, which are pretty straightforward and quick to change.
Like you said earlier, if Mother Nature cooperates with us on Friday and the weekend, what big changes do you have to make to that number 87 going from Scotia to 660? They're both flat tracks, but 660 is a little bigger.
Yeah, I guess we'll be Friday night after the race, we'll probably pull in, and if I go through tech, we'll wait after tech. I'm hoping that'll be the case, but we'll have to change rear gears, and then I'm sure we'll put on. We have another set of shocks built up for 660, so that we're ready to go, and we're not screwing with our Scotia stuff. So that way, everything stays right, and we're ready for that final Scotia race that's coming up soon, so we can seal the deal in the points championship.
How long does it take you and the whole crew, like your dad, to change all that? Does it take a couple hours, or are you able to do that pretty quick since you're going from track to track?
Definitely when it was our first time, when it was my and dad's first time doing it, it definitely took an hour or so or 2 hours. But now that we got Scott McLean and Corey, Scott's taught me a lot of just how to do it proficiently and, have the right tools set up and just what you need to go and change it. It can be pretty quick. You can, if you really got after it, you could do it in 30 minutes, no problem. Change a set of gears and shocks. But I'm sure we'll take our time and make sure everything's cleaned up and ready to go, and also give the car a little bath before we go to 660.
One more from Facebook before I throw it back to Tim. I know that Brandon, by God, Campbell just walked in the virtual chat room here. so we'll wait for a second. But Taylor Albert's watching. He's a street stock driver, and he's wondering, Danny, what is your favorite track in the Maritimes to run with the legend car and the Bando? They could be different, right?
Yeah, actually, well, I got to run at what I consider one of my favorite tracks last week, Oyster Bed. I really liked it. I ran there a lot in the Bando in 2019 before COVID. We ran the full season there and won the points championship. And it was actually my only ever points championship in a Bando. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, for some reason, I just kind of stuck with PEI and really enjoyed it. I like the fact that you can run the high side in a legend car. It made it a little bit more fun and unique compared to all the other tracks, which are very much bottom feeder tracks in a legend car. I mean, now I'm starting to grow a liking to Scotia just because we're fast and we're making it happen. But I mean, they're all a ton of fun. Petty is a great atmosphere. There's always all kinds of people in the stands, and that always makes it a lot more exciting of a show.
We'll throw it back to you, Tim.
First of all, Brandon Campbell is a part of our chat now, right, Brandon? Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've been waiting 35 minutes, but whatever.
Well, I mean, you weren't connected to the call at the very start. But anyways, I guess you were making fun of your great camera work over there. So thank you for being with us on Saturday night, by the way.
Wait, can I say something?
Sure.
I was going to ask.
You're going to say it anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to ask a great question about like running the top at Oyster Bed, and then I waited for 30 minutes and he answered the question before I even got to ask it. So thanks for that.
Okay, well that's great. You had a chat. You could have asked it in there, but that is great.
It's not the same.
By the way, thank you to you and Brittany for helping us out on Saturday night. Danny, I want to ask you about these kids that are coming through, because just a few years ago, you were that young kid getting started in Bandoleros. I think of a guy like a Braden Wadden or an Ethan Hicken that's coming through the ranks that are, just barely seeing through the steering wheel and not over it. For those kids, what kind of advice can you give them that are just starting out in Bandolero racing, trying to get their career going?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just take your time and have fun. I mean, it doesn't always come right away. You might have the first 2 years are a struggle. I know it was for me, just getting to learn it, getting up to speed. You're not gonna always win right off the bat, and don't be disappointed because it will come. I know Ethan Hickens' Bando is sitting right in front of me. He's a great kid. He's really fun to be around. He's always having a good time, and I see how much work he puts into the car because him and Jonathan spend all kinds of time working at it, getting it ready. I think they'll be racing this weekend from what I know. And yeah, I mean, same thing that you said, Wadden, I'm good friends with Devin. I think he's really good. He's done very well in the beginner class, and I'm excited to see him move up. I know Tanton, who I've raced against, and who's now running the outlaw class and winning at Scotia. I know I'm kind of anxious to see how he does in a legend car, and I'm sure he'll be up there passing me at some point in time.
I was going to ask who you think the next one is, but I think you just answered the question, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's a lot of people in legend cars right now, like Gage Gilby. He's good. I see him getting better and better every week. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, me and Brad were struggling to try to even keep up with him in the heat race. So I know he'll probably turn the wick up soon and start coming up there and passing us for the wins.
I know we asked about the favorite racetrack in the Maritimes, but you've been around to some of these racetracks outside. You've been to some of these different venues, these different markets and cities. What's your favorite racetrack to travel to? Whether you're racing or not, it's favorite racetrack to travel to.
I mean, there's quite a few to choose from. We went to Citrus there for a bunch of years, and that was all kinds of fun. I really like Citrus as a racetrack. It was kind of that perfect in between of a small bull ring and a bigger open track. I mean, you weren't finding you were still having to use the brake pedal quite a bit, but you weren't running into each other every single time you went around the racetrack. I know a track that I really liked and was super cool and kind of a eye-opening experience was Oxford when we went there in 2019. I mean, it's basically a circle. You're constantly turning. And it was really cool to try that out for the first time, just throttle control, especially with a legend car, trying to keep it pinned down on the bottom and not let the back end come out from underneath you.
I'm looking at social media. We have a question from Stephen Cormier about car count this weekend. We're going to talk to Brent Roy about that in a moment. So for all those Speed Weekend questions coming up, we'll have Brent Roy coming up on the show in just a few moments' time.
I thought Danny Chisholm was the assistant manager of 660. I thought he knew all that.
Oh, he might. Danny, the car count is at least one because the 87 is going to be up front, right?
Hopefully that's the plan.
So have you and Craig talked? We mentioned it in Victory Lane on Saturday night, but Craig has wanted to win the 660 race for a while. I know you guys are teammates. Has he mentioned that to you yet? And I know he wants to win it bad, but you want to get the Riverview Ford Lincoln Victory Lane too. So have you guys discussed that yet?
Yeah, I definitely have. I know that after last weekend, the breaks that Craig gave me, I'm definitely going to give him the same. I'm not going to run him over or try to move him out of the way, that's for sure. But you never know. The final lap might come, and I might say, get out here, Craig McDonald. I'm going to try to make it happen. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, Craig talked to me a little bit about it. We're not really team racing or anything like that. Corey works on the cars and makes them as fast as he can. So we're good friends, and I'm sure I'll cut him just as many breaks as I would anyone else. I'm not going to really race him any differently.
Denver, what do you have for Danny Chisholm?
Well, Danny, you talk about some battles maybe. I want to ask you about a battle that kind of caught my attention that I heard about earlier in the year. You and Sam Rogers had some really fierce battles going. I want to ask you about that. Take us back to, I guess, the end of July and some of those battles with Sam.
Yeah, I mean, that was a time where we were both up front, and it was just kind of still the beginning of the season, and everyone was getting stuff figured out. We were really tight racing at Scotia, and got into each other a little bit, and people got a little fired up. But I mean, that's just racing. I don't really I don't say too much or try to make it any big deal. I have fun racing against Sam, and it's always good to be battling with him up front. I feel pretty confident that he's a good race car driver, and it's not going to, wreck me or move me out of the way for on last corner. But yeah, it was a great battle. Me and Sam have always run really tightly. I mean, we raced back in years and years ago in Bandos. We had the same type of deal, just race them hard and trying to put on a show for the fans.
I know you're still early in your Legends career, but I want to ask goals and ambitions. What's next for you down the road, whether that's, next year or 5 years or 10 years down the road? Where do you see Danny Chisholm in stock car racing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a race by race, to be honest, at this moment. I know that we went into this season wanting to run as much as we could. And of course, we're the type of people that want to always go and do the cool stuff, like go down to Oxford and go down to different racetracks. But with COVID, we couldn't really this year. So we just kind of said, let's run as many as we can around, and let's do as much as we can. I know for the future, we'll definitely be running legend cars next year, and beyond that, I have no idea. The money side, I mean, these cars are a little of the price range for us at this moment, but we're gonna be pushing the thing and trying to do it at some point in time, I'm sure. But for right now, it's just legend car racing and trying to win every race we can.
So just to throw somebody else under the bus, do you think you can give Brandon Campbell some pointers with keeping his car running this weekend?
I don't know if I'm the guy to do that. I've had my fair share of troubles keeping mine running, so I don't know if I'm the one to be given too many pointers.
Something I want to ask you before I throw it back to Tim is about the iRacing. You've been pretty involved in iRacing. I suppose you probably raced against Brandon a couple times there too.
Yeah, he's good at making my car not run on iRacing.
But I think you've always been in contention on iRacing. What do you get any? Does iRacing help you in any way when it comes to translating what happens on the simulator to what happens on the track?
Yeah, I think so. I started iRacing years and years ago when I was just young. I mean, I think I was 13 or whatever the age is that you can start iRacing. Got a simulator and kind of scrounged up an old computer and put it together and just ran with a Logitech D27, which I still have to this day. Still the same one. But yeah, I really enjoy iRacing nowadays. It's a lot more just a leisure activity. I mean, in the summer, I don't think I've turned it on since probably the last TCM race. But usually in the winter, me, Brad, Eddie, Corey, and Craig, we all get on there. Even Audrey from Ontario gets on there, and we race together and just have fun. keep our minds sharp and see who can best each other on iRacing, because I know there's a lot of confidence that gets thrown around and kind of, if you win on iRacing, who knows, you might win in real life type of deal.
I'm going to add to this because Brad had mentioned about doing a road course series in the winter. So who's the better road course driver, the CHR bunch on iRacing?
Well, I think there's a very good reason why Brad mentioned that. I think Brad is definitely the best one. Brad's always the guy that when we're thinking about what we're going to host on iRacing, he's like, oh, let's do Ferraris at Monza or something like that. He always conjures up these random races or 1970 Lotuses at Spa. Like that's Brad's bread and butter. And I think he wants to kind of do a road course series so he can show who's the real driver. You know what I mean?
Okay, so if we're doing a road course series and Brad's not picking the racetrack and the car combo, which one are we running?
I don't know. I know Brad would probably pick like legend cars or something because he always bests us in them. But I would like to run like GT3 cars. I think they're fun. That would be my idea, just because I know then they give you a variety of different cars to run, right? People can buy a Lamborghini or people can get a Mercedes or something different. Like I have a Ferrari, so it'd be cool because then everyone could have a different car, but they're all similar, right? iRacing makes them pretty well the same, and then we can run on a variety of bigger tracks. Like legend cars, you'd be stuck to like a New Hampshire road course or a Charlotte road course. So that way we could run it like Spa or Nürburgring or something cool, right? That would be my vote.
Paul, do you have that in the notebook? Producer's asleep. Look at that. Even better. So let's look forward to this season. Obviously, we don't know what's going on with Riverside with that just being canceled. And obviously, Speedway 660 is next. Scotia Speedworld. Is there anything that you're looking forward to, or maybe something during this pandemic that we might have lost, that we might not have been able to get back to yet, that you're looking forward to in 22?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to 660 this weekend, of course, finishing up at Scotia. I always enjoy going to the racetrack on Friday nights and seeing what we can do there. But I think the main thing is I'm a little disappointed now that, of course, Riverside's over. It's always the main weekend of the whole entire year, and I was kind of getting pumped up for that. We gone and tested and tried to get the car figured out and stuff, but we'll see what happens there. I know for me, a big thing would be Winter Nationals. If we can get to Winter Nationals, that'd be really fun. I think with the way that we have the car dialed in right now and having it a brand new car, I think we could have a great opportunity to do well down there. So I really want to see if we can get down there and maybe have a shot at winning that.
I guess we'll spin this one. Nationals are at Dominion this year. If you had a choice of any racetrack to put Nationals at, where would it be and why?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I would put it at either Vegas or right there at Charlotte, right at the Legends Oval, because I think that would be pretty fun. I know that's like the main racetrack for the summer shootouts, so it'd be kind of cool there to race against all those guys and have things figured out and see if we can play catch up. But I always liked it. I always enjoyed watching it in Vegas. I know Corey went there a few times. I think the experience would be really cool to go down there. I've never been even close to that far west, so it'd be cool to go down there and experience Vegas and race on the bull ring, which I think is my favorite track on iRacing. I know that for sure. And I'm pretty excited to run the 300 for TCM there coming in November.
That's a great plug, by the way. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But Dylan, I know there's a couple more returns on social. And by the way, I can attest that Vegas is a great place to race and it's a great place to vacation. So I'm all for that, Dylan. I don't know about you.
Don't get me started. I was supposed to go to Vegas in April 2020 and see Brooks and Dunn and Reba and Keith Urban, and I would have went to Vegas too. I would have went and saw drag racing. Dylan McMillan is watching, Danny, and he wrote, had a lot of fun racing with you in Bandos. You're doing very well in Legend racing, but how about Dylan in that Lightning division at Scotia Speedworld? He is having a stellar rookie year, eh?
Yeah, I think that was awesome for Dylan to make that move. I mean, I know that he had kind of grown out of the Bandos and stuff, and I think that four-cylinder racing and Lightning racing is like exactly. I mean, his dad did that, so they have good knowledge there. And I think Dylan, from what I've seen, looking at his Facebook and watching him at the racetrack on Friday nights. He's getting better and better every week. I know that they struggled a little bit with the car, and they're always looking for help and stuff, but they are making it work. I know. I think there a couple weekends ago he got second or third, and I feel the win coming, Dylan. I'm just waiting for it.
This weekend at 660, Danny, who would you say, I'll maybe throw arch rival or a driver you're going to have to really contend with at 660? We had a little Sam Rogers talk. You're always up there with Brad and Craig. Who's going to be the one person you got to keep your eye on this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think after PEI and how good me and Craig were and how far out in front we were, I think the only person I got to worry about this weekend is Craig. But I mean, you never know. Everyone can turn up the wick at some point in time. I'm really going in this weekend. I'm worried about Craig. He's always been good at 660, and I think right now his car is on point. I know how hard he works. It's just him doing it. He does all of it himself, and of course gets the info from Corey. But yeah, I think going to this weekend, our travel will be Craig. See if I can best him at a track that he definitely has a lot more experience than me at.
With racing, Danny, I've heard this in NASCAR where they say, we're not teammates. We happen to be owned by the same guy. Is that the case for you, Craig, and maybe a Brad, Eddie coming this weekend at 660? Sure, you're CHR cars, but when you're going to the checkered flag, teammates, that's out the window, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I know that we all kind of think that way and just race each other how we'd race anyone else. I know at Scotia a few weeks ago, me and Brad just about ran into each other every corner for about 20 laps. That was a super fun battle to have with him, and he definitely taught me a few things. He's definitely got a lot more figured out than I do, and yeah, I feel like we just race each other how we'd race everyone else, and I don't really think of them as a teammate or do anything differently than I would anybody else. I know Craig and Brad are super competitive and want to win. It was really cool to see Brad get it done in the sedan. Going out there and winning races with a car that's supposed to be lesser than a coupe and a motor.
We have lost Danny Chisholm. Okay, well,
he was saying like the sedan was working good, anyways.
Yeah, everything works good until it blows, right?
Tell me about it.
Well, you can't use that.
It worked good at your machine.
No.
Yeah, for like 40 something laps running last. Okay.
Exactly. Brandon's Zoom was like his Honda Civic. It didn't start up right away.
We'll wait and see if we can get Danny back.
Tim,
if not, what's that?
So now that Brandon's here after he bailed on us the first half of the show, Brandon, do you care to elaborate on the flag story at Speed Weekend?
By the way, before we get out of here, Paul, give us fantasy points after this B rolls. Then, if we don't get Danny, go ahead, Brandon.
Hold up, fantasy. Who are we betting on this week?
No. Continue your story first. That's for later.
Okay. I don't even really know what happened, but it was me, Sam Jardine, or Jam Sardine in Denver at like.
I like how you said Jam Sardine on that. Continue.
Yeah, I had to switch it up. That's all I know we're buying. But for some reason, we're in the infield at 2:00 in the morning. Was this Friday? This was Friday.
This is Friday because I got a call at about 11:30 coming up from Halifax.
Yeah, well, it was 2:00 in the morning, and we find ourselves in the infield, and we're like, "Oh, look, the flags! We're at the flags." And then next day, Victory Lane blows over, and the flags almost go flying. So
that was 2 days down the road. But
was it Sunday that happened?
Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
We blame Brandon for this.
I don't even know what day it was. You can tell how my Speed Weekend went. But yeah, hopefully the same thing doesn't happen this week.
I hope it doesn't. We are going to chat with Brent Roy in a second. I know he's in the waiting room waiting to see if Danny comes back. I know he had some issues with Zoom getting connected, so I'm glad we got the wires connected in the first place. But I'm sure he wants to thank his sponsors, Eastern Powder Coating, Bruce Auto Group, Corey Hall Racing, Scott McLean Motorsports. I know I'm Ocean Playgrounds. I know I'm missing a few, but we will see him Friday night on Tim's Corner TV. When we go racing from Halifax. What's that? Oh, hold on. I think we got him.
He probably tripped going up the stairs and broke a cable. I know somebody that's
there's no cable on a phone.
Well, something broke.
Okay, Danny, what happened?
I have no idea. I must have lost Wi-Fi or something. It just kicked me out. I just saw everything go black, and then the app crashed, and I had to frantically log back in and get it all figured out again.
Well, at least you could get it started on like Brandon's race car.
Ha 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 ha.
That was great. Looking forward though to Speedway 660 this weekend. For those that we kind of asked Cassius this too, for those that never been to Speed Weekend at Speedway 660, you've been there a couple of times. Give us a sales pitch. Why should they head to the racetrack this weekend in Gary?
I mean, I guess the biggest sales pitch is going to be, I think the Legend Car race is going to be really exciting. I know I'll try to put on the best show I can for everyone. And of course, the 250. I'm super excited to see Corey and Austin and Ashton all duke it out. I feel like they're going to be the ones. I think there's a few other guys out of this stable that are going, so they're going to be really quick as well. And yeah, I think that's the big sales pitch. I know the food's pretty good there. And of course, the atmosphere. 660 always puts on a great show and always has great hospitality. I always feel pretty welcome to come in there, getting to talk to the people at the front gate, and of course, everyone who runs the event.
And I know race director Scott Kenny is watching us as well. I wanted to thank you for making the trip up again. And the tradition, I should say the tradition has been, but it's only been 1 year since Sam Rogers won the race three times in a row. The champion from the Bando Blast from the year before gets to present the trophy to the winner in victory lane. I think Brent Roy has a feature buffered in. I think the modifieds are in between the Bandos and the Legends. So got the opportunity to do that as well this year for those kids that are coming up through the Bando Blast. And I think I got 14 or 15 on my list that could potentially be at that Bando Blast. So that is going to be a great race this weekend as well. Danny, who do you got on the race team? Who's on the sponsorship list? Who helps you get to the racetrack each week?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, of course, Corey and Scott Hall, CHR, they've helped me right from the beginning, setting up the car the first time I went to the racetrack with the Legend car. And of course, they kind of helped me in my latter years of Bando racing, getting the thing to be able to run up front. Of course, I want to thank Scott McLean for building the car and putting it up front every week and doing all the weekly maintenance. I know that he's kind of looking to, I know that me and him are kind of looking to help people out in the future. And if anyone wants their Legend car maintained by us, we'd gladly go ahead and do it. I know that my car runs up front every single week and goes to the racetrack looking as perfect as it can. So we can make yours look the same. I mean, of course, I got to thank my mom, my dad. They drive me to the racetrack every week and make sure that I have everything I need to do the best I can. And of course, house me throughout the week and be great parents. I got to thank Bruce Auto Group, King Freight Lines, Roy and Judy. I've been staying at their house for the last 2 years pretty well through the whole summer in spurts and stuff like that. I got to thank, of course, Andrew and everything who's mentored me quite a bit in the last few years and have let me kind of get a sneak peek on pro stock racing and what it takes to win races like the Oxford 250. I got to thank, of course, just my partners and sponsors. Like I said, Bruce Auto Group, Xander Science for putting the wrap on the car, Solution Smith Engineering, Bridgetown International, and of course, Eastern Paddock Coating at Ocean Playgrounds, who can fill your race car paddock coating needs at any time. Give them a call.
And I know there's one customer coming up on the line. I know Brent Roy's been down there a couple of times too, but we kid with your father. I know he's a former TV star. He was on the Bad Chat Custom Show blowing up a bubble on, I think it was Guy Meister's car. So have the autograph requests kind of calmed down for your dad yet? Because I know there was a spurt there.
Yeah, I think they've calmed down quite a bit. That was really cool experience to be a part of that. It was really cool to have Chad, approach Dad, and I got to see the whole filming process from the Discovery Channel side. That was a really awesome experience. But yeah, I don't think he gets to sign too many autographs nowadays.
So for those that are going to be at Speedway 660, he will be there, right?
Oh yeah, he'll be there. Come get your autographs.
There you go, Danny. This has been fun catching up. We wish you all the best. We'll see you Friday night at Scotia.
Thanks, Tim.
That's Danny Chisholm, driver of the number 87. Now let's talk fantasy points because Brandon made up some points here last week. Denver took the lead. I really don't want to discuss that, but Denver.
I do. I think it was great.
I'm sure you do.
It was great.
Who did you have for the Oxford 250? Remind us.
I had Joey Dwyer and he
Okay.
finished in 4th place. And who did you have? Remind us.
I had a mid-pack Travis Benjamin.
Yes.
What
Meredith,
nasty?
Meredith game. Yeah, and Dylan.
Shut up. Wow.
Yeah, Brandon. Who did you have?
Derek Griffith, P3, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
The fans had Cassius Clark because we had it on here last week. We had a couple of Cassius Clark fans on here. Meredith did well with Bubba Pollard, top 10 finish. Brittany is still MIA. So at this point, I think if Brittany comes back and picks the Remax 250 winner, I think she can pass Dylan.
What about if Brandon
He's
picks the
banned.
Remax winner?
He's still got some ground to make up, but he'll eventually get there.
How many weeks have we done?
This is round 12. If you can see on the screen, it's round 12.
I can't read.
This is number 13 coming up. We don't have. It's been a busy day with everything going on. We don't have the graphic for this week, but it is the Remax 250 that we are picking the winner for. And I've already made my pick. Me and Meredith discussed this. I'm going with the 83 at Corey Hall. I think Meredith's changing her pick because I picked Corey Hall. Maybe. Denver?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I figured you would know.
No clue.
Who are you thinking for the 250?
Well, I was thinking Corey Hall as well. But to be completely transparent, I had thought about this race for a long time. So obviously this is a big race. And after his performance last year, I was planning on picking Robbie McEwen. A little bit skeptical after Saturday at Oyster Bed Speedway. It didn't go his way, and he has a tore up car. And I've been told that they will still be there, maybe with a different car. But obviously a little skeptical on that pick now, so I'm not committing to that. But that might be who I'm picking.
Okay, Dylan, who do you got?
Do I have to say Brent Roy because he's in the room?
You don't have to, but
It's not 5 flags.
we're not picking the street stock race. Come on now.
I'm gonna go with Old Faithful Ryan Messer, who got the win earlier this year, who got me out in front earlier this year, but because of the BS point system, now look where I am. Ryan Messer is getting the win this weekend, the only 250 in the Maritimes.
Okay, well, if you don't, you got to blame something, I guess. Brandon, who do you got? Who do you think?
Okay, so we have Corey Hall. Who did
Yep.
Denver pick? I didn't even hear him pick. I just heard him say, "I'm picking this guy." Maybe
Robbie McEwen. He's picking Robbie McEwen.
bold.
Yep.
Cole Butcher.
Okay.
He won it for me last time, so he'll probably do it again.
Okay. Well, there you go. We'll roll with that. We'll have all the updated picks on the broadcast coming up on Sunday.
Can I make a Hail Mary pick?
Corey Casagrande?
Never mind.
He picked CM Punk. CM Punk is returning at 660 this week.
CM Punk return confirmed.
I didn't know Wyatt Alexander was coming up for the 250. We kid because we care. I'm sure we're going to talk Neps at some point in the next 20, 25 minutes or so. But let's talk some Speedway 660 racing, and let's talk with the driver, the number 26 Remax Pro Stock, and the guy that's going to have the promoter hat on, that's been knocking on all the doors, making sure everything happens this weekend, Brent Roy. And for the record, this is the second repeat guest that we've had on the show behind Craig Sloan-White. So, Brent, you are in good company.
Cool. Hopefully, I'm not second to him on Sunday, but I'll take it here.
Well,
You
there
won't
you
be that
go.
far.
He has been on an absolute roll this year in that number 99 car. So I guess we'll talk about the driver's side of things first. By the way, we're live and interactive with Brent Roy. So if you have a question, comment, what have you, be sure to drop it down below and we'll get it to Brent. Let's chat about the driver's side of this. You've come close to winning this 250 a couple of times before. What's it going to take to win on Sunday?
Everything to go right with that thing back there. We've lost it by breaking a tie rod end, trailing arm, breaking a shock. You need 1,000 things to go right and one thing to go wrong to lose it. And, we just need to cross our T's and dot our I's, which happens where we're at right now. And, hopefully we're there with 20 to go and have something for them at the end.
How's the season gone for you this season?
Like this, big time. No matter what hat I've been wearing. So it's been, earlier this year we had I don't even know how long the race was, but 100 laps or 150 or something, and we finished second. another race we had the same thing and we finished 7th. So, we're either right there or we're not even close. So it's been up and down, but we think that we've kind of found something with the car that we've been really missing for the last couple of years. So we're pretty excited for Sunday.
For the most part, the races that we've had at Speedway 660 Pro Stock wise have been those 125 lap distance. Do you have to change anything mindset wise to go 250 this weekend?
Wyatt Alexander told me I got to drink lots of Pedialyte. Apparently that's the key. So, hydration honestly is a really big thing. And, you're in that car for a few hours and you lose a lot of water weight during it. And it's a big deal. So, to try to keep yourself as fresh as possible for that entire race is, you get to lap 150, you still got another 100 to go. So yeah, you do prepare for it a little bit easier. And, at lap 50 or lap 100, where you might have, taken advantage of a slot or a hole that opens up, you might think twice about it.
I see our favorite legend car driver, Nathan Langell, is watching, by the way, Brandon.
Oh, boy, Nate. Heard you picked up a big heat win the other day.
Yeah, finished. Where'd he finish in the feature, Dylan?
The tire, I think, finished ahead of him.
Yeah, finished in 6th of 6 cars. We kid because we care, but at
top
least
10.
At least Nathan's car started, unlike his brother Josh's, who has apparently been hanging out with your 4-cylinder.
Well, Nathan's just the best there is, honestly. I know we just had Danny, but Nathan's just the best there is.
Brandon, when are you racing in Valley Raceway to take on the Langell boys?
Never. I see how they drive. It's not going.
We kid because we care, but Nathan and Josh have both had some really good runs here the last couple of weeks in the legend car. So hats off to them on the serious side of things. They've been doing really well. So pat on the back to them. But 250 coming up, Brent. Let's kind of put the promoter's hat on and kind of slide over there. What's the 250 looking like? I know the big question has been car count, entry list. I know we've been trying to put it together. What's the outlook on that? Who do we see coming up? Obviously, we came off of the King Racing Cassius Clark interview where he said Austin's going to be there. Obviously, Corey is going to be strong. Ashton Tucker, Ryan Messer, the regular competitors that are usually up there. Is there anybody on your radar that kind of stands out as a driver or promoter that says, "Hey, that's kind of cool, he's here"?
I mean, with the border being closed, it's really nice to see a bunch of Canadian faces. For the longest period of time, it was like, all right, where's the highest Canadian gonna finish behind the Americans? So with that, being closed off, it's nice to see the trophy, stay in the Maritimes. Honestly, I know I'm in the race and it's hard, but it's going to be pretty hard to bet against Craig. Like you said, he's been on a roll. He's got a brand new car. That car runs great at 660. He runs great at 660. He's won the race before. He knows what it takes. I think that, with a few people from the island, Chris Hughes is making the trek over. Robbie McEwen's making the trip over. I even heard Robbie McLean is coming over. So I'm sure they're going to end up down in Churro, turned around, lost, run out of gas, and him on a pit bike or something somewhere. But, eventually they'll show up. That seems to be how those stories always go. But yeah, so pretty cool to see that. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we see our first island winner.
Yeah, Robbie ran really strong last time out, and with the older chassis, I think is what they're going with after the wreck on Saturday night. I haven't talked to Dan since, but I know they were already peeling it out. The first thing that Dan said to me after that wreck, he said, "We've got a car. We're going to Speedway 660." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "We got a car. We're going to Speedway 660." I didn't stutter. So hopefully they are there. It's good to see them at the racetrack. Obviously, Chris Hughes is going to be tough to beat after the run that he's had the last couple of weeks. So I think that most of these races that we've had up there on a regular basis have had like 16 to 18 cars anyway. So you add those guys in, we should be seeing well over 20 cars, right?
Right. Yeah, I expect, honestly, somewhere north of 25, give or take. I never like saying, oh, we're going to expect 40 cars. So number one, I hope we don't have 40 cars. Number two, you don't need a field of 70 cars to have a good race. We proved it earlier this year. We had a field of, like you said, 14 to 16 cars. We had a phenomenal race. So, you don't need a huge car count to have an awesome race. you need the quality. So the quality over the quantity is going to put on a wicked show, I think, and the fans are going to have probably one of the best 250s in recent times, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's absolutely there, and we saw a great race last year at in the Gary Woods. But Richard Atkinson says it's happy to see the nostalgia cars come to the racetrack. That'll be exciting to see. Now, before we go to Dylan, because I know Dylan is, I think, more excited than anybody. Maybe except yourself, though, because I know you've been working on this for the last couple of years, ever since the Heart of a Champion Hot Rod Classics presented by Conrad Brothers was a thing. How neat is it to finally have them come to the Gary Woods?
Well, I had a conversation with Patty about that. And it was kind of, one of the big things in life in general, we both kind of agreed is timing. Timing's everything. And, a couple pieces of the puzzle really showed up and slotted into place at the right time and the right place at the right time, and let us be able to have those guys come here and really put on a show for the fans. I know the fans are really excited for it. I know there's a couple guys coming from Quebec to compete in that too, that competed at Petty. So, we're really excited to have them there. I'll be honest, there's always a time slot between the regular features and the 250 that we've always struggled to fill. And this will be that, so it'll be nice for the fans to have, race in action. I know Sunday's packed. It's going to be crazy, but it's going to be good for the fans. At the end of the day, without the fans, we wouldn't be right here, right? So
I want to talk about that in a bit, but Dylan, how excited are you to go to the Gary Woods? You had your first experience at Speedway 660 last year. You've never been to Speed Weekend. Now we're going to throw Speed Weekend and the hot rods at you. How excited are you?
He said he's wearing his Christmas sweater.
Christmas sweater.
Oh, geez, I forgot I made.
You said that.
Okay.
Well, didn't we already have Christmas in July?
Not for Dylan. He wasn't there.
Okay. Okay.
Brent, you are lucky the high is only 17 on Saturday, because I might need it by the end of the night to try and stay warm.
Cassius said you need a sweater for the sportsman race. It's going to be chilly.
I'll wear that ugly Christmas sweater during the sportsman race.
All right, deal.
Okay. But for real, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to this, Brent. And I can say you and I talked multiple times in 2020 and even earlier this year, but hey, come on, let's see if we can get the hot rods here. And destiny worked out, lady luck, whatever you want to call it, that the cards fell in the right place. I'm very excited. The boys that are making the trek from Nova Scotia are very excited. It's great to see that we're going to have a bunch of New Brunswick drivers. And it's amazing, again, to see that we're going to have Jocelyn and Stéphane Laliberté coming back from Quebec. They were at Petty. They had a great time. It's going to be their first time at 660 as well. So we should have around 10 cars, I believe, for the show. 30-lap feature, going to be fun. The Clash of the Classics. Oh, man, I can't wait. And we're also going to have a little car show as well at Steel GMC Buick Fredericton and Fredericton Hyundai on Saturday before I wear my Christmas sweater, apparently. So it's going to be a whole fun weekend. But Brent, as the promoter, what are you expecting with the Hot Rod Classics this weekend?
Smiles on everybody's faces. That's what I'm expecting. I really saw it a few years ago. We had the Caribou Kid, who we didn't even know he still had his car. He just kind of he emailed us or called us. I can't remember exactly how. And he's like, hey, I still got this car. Do you want me to put it on display? And so he went out and was, in front of the field and stuff. And he was smiling big, but everybody really thought that was cool to see a car that used to compete there, in the 90s. Against the local guys. So, and I mean, in that era, it was like you were that, a fan and wore an orange Sitco hat, or you were not, and there was no in between. But I mean, the reaction of the fans to that is what I'm expecting for this, to see those old cool hot rods, and to have that little bit of a throwback will be really cool.
I think Richard wants to see the Christmas sweater. He just wrote, I want to see that. So, all right, I'll take her out of storage after this. Tim, we'll stick here on social media. Jesse Thompson has a question. He's announced for 660 a few times this year, and he's asking you, Brent, as a promoter, just curious, what could be done to draw some Quebec drivers back to the 250?
I've thought of that. It's something that I'm probably going to tackle a little bit over the winter. I think we have rule change differences between the two provinces, the Maritimes rather, and Quebec. I think they run more of an ACT style car up there, and to get a real true pro stock, you got to go to Ontario. So, I mean, it's not impossible, but I don't think it's a package they run as much as what we do.
I'll ask this question. I know it may stir the pot a little bit, but going back to the car count, with the new border measures for Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, how many Nova Scotia drivers are you expecting, maybe off the top of your head, to come to the 250 this weekend? Maybe some that have already said, I'm going, it's all good.
I think you're going to see I honestly don't think that's going to change it a whole lot. The people who are coming are going to continue to come. I don't think that we're going to, if anything, maybe one or two. But I think the biggest issue that's going to create to stop somebody from coming, lesser of the drivers, more of the entire crew. Does the crew have all their shots and all that fun stuff? So conversation for a different day. But I think that's where you might have a team or two kind of drop off that way. But for the most part, I think the people that were coming, that handful of the usual suspects, we'll call them, the Butchers, the Swan Whites, King Racing. I think they're still coming, and we should be full steam ahead.
Timmy, back to you.
And I think to that point, and we kind of mentioned it. I know most of the East Coast Mini Stock Tour guys already know it. They've been talking to Drew, but the Sunday show on that end has been dropped, and half of that is because we have 3 of the top 5 drivers in points not eligible to come. Well, they can come, they just can't leave and come back and have to isolate for 7 days or 14 days or what have you. So I'm excited for that show nonetheless on Saturday, because not only are you going to have guys like Dave Matthews and Cody Byrne going at it, you're going to have the sharpshooter guys, BJ Gillespie, Randy Titus, Matt Martin. Those guys go head to head with the Honda guys, and it's on the East Coast Mini Stock Tour rulebook, which is kind of amalgamated everything and trying to bring everything close together. It's one of those highlights of the weekend. Is there anything that you're kind of looking forward to in the 3 days that we have that you've kind of circled on your calendar?
Man, I probably shouldn't say this here, but probably Monday morning.
So what you're saying is you're not going to Oyster Bed Speedway on Monday morning.
Definitely not going to Oyster Bed on Monday. No, in all seriousness though, I think that Saturday night Sportsman race should be a really good race. We had a phenomenal race earlier this year with the 150. I think we're going to have a really good field of cars for that. I think that the Street Stock 100 on Sunday is going to be a really good show. We haven't even talked about that. We had a sponsor step up, D. Gillespie and Sons Trucking. They put up $1,000 to win that race. And they were like, what's it going to take to make it 100 laps? And I said, do you know how busy Sunday is already? And they're like, I don't care. We want to make it 100 laps. So, they, not one to discourage people wanting to get involved. Certainly happy to see, new sponsors get involved with the track side of things. They've been sponsors to, in particular, some racers in the past, but I'm excited to see that. I think that's going to be a really good race, because I think some teams are going to use it as a tune-up to the Ricky Bobby 150, which I'm sure we'll be back for that. That'll be a crazy one. Maybe we'll get Randy on here for that one. That would extend the show, I think, but that'd be good.
And something that Danny kind of mentioned in the last portion of this show about the legends and the bandos get to go up once every season. Same thing with the East Coast Mini Stock Tour. I know there was a couple of times that we tried to get them up with pandemic and everything else, didn't get them up there. I've got, and I don't think I've discussed this with you, I got 12 to 15 bandos on the list right now scheduled to come up. How cool is it to see not only those kids that are just getting started, because I know you've got a couple that I'm sure are itching to move out of the baby Jeep class to move into the Bandolero class, but to see them and see the legend cars back up.
I don't know what I'm going to do with that baby Jeep class. I mean, I had people like, man, Bob Goodwin sent me a picture of some guy that put a 4-wheeler chassis underneath the body of a Jeep. He's like, can I run this? I told him to go back to bed. But anyway, it's exciting to see those kids. It's certainly a class that we miss. There's a picture shared around every summer. About a week ago, that everybody shares around, and it's a picture from about 10 years ago of all the drivers in the Bandolero division at that time. And you pick them out. He drives Pro Stock now. He's won the last two 250s. He's won a 250. He's done this. She's done that. You know, and you go through the whole list, and it's like they all race now in big cars. So it's a great division. It's certainly something that I think we had kind of a generational gap there, and I think it's coming around to when we can fill that again. You know, certainly something that we were looking at.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend with that. And by the way, group qualifying for those guys on Sunday. And I know some of those kids are excited to actually get on the clock instead of getting on the racetrack for heat races. So for those that are there a little bit early on Sunday afternoon prior to the 250, just as the track closes, something else to keep your eye on. We haven't even spoken about Friday night yet. Obviously, the Atlantic Modified Tour is going to be there. They got 14 cars for Sunday. A lot of them are going to be there Friday to shake down for their point race on Sunday. Sharpshooters always put on a great show, but the concert returns on Friday night.
Yeah, that that was like a social media friggin' outburst.
Was that a whole Sherry Tucker thing? Do we blame her?
We can blame her for a lot of things. Yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun. And what the best part about it was the whole thing was booked and set up for like 2 weeks, and before we released it. So the whole time I was just giving her the gears on Facebook, and you know, and just kind of having fun with it and poking it along. But it's really cool to have Hazard come in. They've been on the radar for the last couple of years, and a lot of people have been wanting them to play there. They've been wanting to play there. They're a local band from the Harvey area, so they have a really good following. They play great music. They're a good group. Lockie and the boys are a good bunch, so it'll be pretty fun. And you know, because of the stuff that's on the track, and one of the things that people don't realize is that our insurance changed. So because the insurance changed, we have to have the concert in turn 5. There was some backlash about that, but it is what it is. Hands are tied. So, you know, it's a concert venue. We can't just have it out in the open as we could in the past, but it is what it is. So pretty excited for that. It's going to be good. And, you know, really hope to kind of turn that Friday night into a really good event with that concert, because we had that magic years ago and the pandemic really ruined it, which we were then able to do the Friday night racing, which I think is a excellent thing. It also gave some pro stock teams the time to practice at night, which has never happened before. So yeah, it's a good mix, I think.
So does that mean the race fuel's coming back?
Someday, maybe. Not this week.
You knew I had to ask at least.
Every year.
I know.
Well, you know who drives me more nuts about that is Gerald Greenlaw.
Well, now that he's coming back, I feel like that's a reason to bring it back.
Hey, if somebody fits the bill, I'll make it. I don't care.
Okay. We'll have to talk to Mr. Greenlaw down there in the mustard money.
Yeah.
Mike James, by the way, is watching. Want to say hello to Mike. And for those that don't know, I'm going to Eastbound on September 18th. So I'm excited for that to get back with the buys. Well, I don't know. The last time I was over there, we ended up drunk in turn 1 putting up a sign at Eastbound. That's a story for another time, though. Denver, I know we're getting closer to the end of the show, and we're showing highlights on the screen now of Ashton going to victory lane. I know you've had some memorable 250 moments, but what do you got for Brent Roy?
Well, Tim, the first thing I was going to ask was about the race fuel, but you kind of took that away from me. But Brent, I want to ask you, it's been kind of feast or famine for you as a driver. I think you were leading one year and you blew your motor. You have been in a wreck or two. You finished on the podium. What is it with you and the 250 that just makes it that kind of love-hate type of race as a driver?
Like I said, you got to have everything go right. And last year we got taken out really because of my own doing and being a little impatient on new tires. You know, at the time I was like, we got wrecked, but you know, looking back, it's, you know, I was just being impatient and probably could have bided my time a little bit more and been around at the end. I think it was 2, maybe 3 years ago, we finished third. Felt like I might have had a shot to get it, but car just tightened up really bad on the last like 5-lap run. You know, so after the 150 this past year, and running second to Ashton. We're pretty excited for the end of it. Like I said, we kind of, our car runs better at night. Little orphan Annie, she's pretty temperamental, doesn't like the heat of the day. You know, we do run better at night, but you know, that's when the pay window opens. So we'll see you when it comes.
I want to ask a little bit about that sportsman race. Do you guys have any indication of any maybe Nova Scotia cars that will be coming to challenge for the big win in the Sportsman 125 on Saturday night?
Yeah, Jordan Vino has signaled that he's coming. I honestly don't know many others other than that. I think one of the biggest things is a rule difference in tires between the two provinces. So if we were able to have tires, we would see a different rules package. However, we can't get tires. And anyway, it seems like there's always something to do with Speed Weekend, whether it's this or that or that or this or whatever. So this year it's tires. It's fantastic. But, you know, so anyway, going to drive me to an early grave, but it is what it is. But Jordan's coming up. Excited to see him come up. He usually comes up a few times a year rather. And, you know, he's an awesome guy, awesome crew, and usually runs pretty good too. So
Have you talked to Pete yet?
Have not talked to Pete.
Okay, that might be another one, because I know Pete was talking a couple of weeks ago about going up to 660. I haven't talked to him since,
right?
But I know Pete was chomping at the bit earlier in the season to come up. So that Denver, that might be another one on your answer list.
Yeah, going to be a great race either way. Like you said, the Firecracker 150 at the end of July was a phenomenal race, and you know, I think you got to look at Alex Oblinas as the favorite the way her season's been going. But Brent, I want to ask you favorite Speed Weekend memories. This is the 21st year for the 250, as hard as that may be to believe. What, you know, you looking back over the last 20 editions of this weekend and this race, what sticks out in your mind?
Oh, man, there's a lot. I mean, we were down the other night and I posted a picture on Facebook and I got quite a few likes on it. And, you know, what we were doing is trying to adjust the lights at the track to just try to help out the light on the racing surface itself. And the lights have been in one spot since 1994, so they didn't move a whole lot. But anyway, and I found myself, I just, you know, standing in the middle of the place. The place is empty. And I looked back at the grandstands and I just snapped a picture. And I said, oh, the stories this place could tell. And at literally every inch of that racetrack, somebody has won, lost, experienced the very high of emotion to the very low of emotion. You know, and everywhere in between. So I don't know, man. Like, as far as one that sticks out, I mean, right where I was standing was right about 10 feet from where Craig Slonwhite sprinted from turn 1 to turn 3 to see his best friend over there. But, you know, that was a good one. Scott Fraser winning the thing, not pitting at all. Lonnie Somerville pitting with like 25 to go to win it that way. I mean, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And I'll be honest, there's some 250s that, like, I don't even remember. You know, to pick one out is almost impossible. You know, Craig Slonwhite winning in the SFR car was a good one too. You know, they're all pretty special. There's a lot of things tied to it, and not even like the 250 itself, Speed Weekend in general. I remember when I was racing Sportsman, we had the 150 on Speed Weekend one of the years. I think it was 09 or something. We were racing around. It was one of the first years we got hooked up with Jeff Armstrong, and he helped set up the car the week before the Speed Weekend. So we had a really good setup in the car. The car was working awesome. And I was like, all right, this might be the time that I finally win one of these big sportsman races. And then I think like lap 30, the power steering went on it. So we finished the rest of the race. We finished third, I think, the year that Dan McNeil won. But we were racing all night with Bradley Logan and Wade Harris and Derek Christie. And, you know, so to me, that's a real special memory for me. But, you know, the list goes on and on and on, in all honesty. To pick one out, I don't think that's very fair.
Camping is always a huge part of Speed Weekend. And you see Gary and Speedway 660, the whole property basically turns into a little town. With hundreds of campers filling into the facility. You know, last year, the whole experience was a little different with COVID. This is the first year back with New Brunswick in the green phase. What can if people are coming to the track this weekend and they have a camper sitting in their backyard, why should they bring it?
Oh, man. Well, the best way I can say is that just the hospitality, no matter where you are in the campground, is phenomenal. You walk by a campfire, you're usually invited in. You're usually handed a beer on your way in, and if you don't like beer, you're handed something else that, maybe it's a cooler or whatever, or a frozen beer that you can throw in the fire. But one of the two, everybody's got something. So it's a lot of fun. That atmosphere of, it's a big party, but it's also like a wholesome party too. So it's not just a bunch of people getting, super crazy loose till 6 a.m. It's a bunch of people, hanging out by a campfire, playing a guitar, having some beer, spending time with some friends. A lot of times it's the only time of year that people see each other. So, that's pretty special at the end of the day. And I think John Miller said it right. It's probably one of the best, most welcoming, non-clicky party atmosphere. And if you're there in general, you're part of the whole group. So yeah, come be part of the group.
Looking ahead, it's looking like the weather should cooperate.
I don't look at the weather.
You don't look at the weather?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Nope. I talked to Joe Hoyt today. He stopped into my work, and we were chatting, and he said, "So the weather for Friday?" I said, "What about it?" He said, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "I don't look at the weather. I just look up when I wake up in the morning. It is what it is." So, Max Roy won't agree with me. He's been looking at the weather for the last 13 months, I'm sure, for this event. But, he looks forward to it, to stress out about it. But, at the end of the day, you can't do anything. You can't do anything about it. There's some showers in the forecast, but, I will say this. If Friday does get rained out, it probably won't get made up. It'll be a wash. We're probably not going to go back on Monday and make that up. I had that discussion with Joe here today. So, it's unfortunate if that happens, but it is what it is. Of course, Monday's rain date for Saturday, Sunday. So I always say, we'll blow that bridge up when we get to it.
Looking like it'll be okay, though, I think, Tim, based off the current predictions. Not that Brent's seen them, but I think we should see a full 3 days of racing.
I'm going to tell you, the only forecast that I've looked at so far this weekend has been the Scotia Friday night forecast. And I don't even know why I looked at that, because Ken Cunning has always told us we're going to get a show in. And I think with the AJK 50, I think he proved that down there. But I think our Friday forecast is looking better for Halifax. So I'm going to assume it's looking better for Fredericton as well. We're running a little short on.
It looks good. AccuWeather, Geary, Friday, sunny 15. Saturday, mix of sun and clouds 17. Sunday.
Leave it to the radio guy.
There you go.
Brent didn't even want to hear that.
Sunday, mostly cloudy and warmer, high 21.
Okay.
25% chance of rain or precipitation whenever every day, but that's a little baby amount.
We didn't hear the last part. That's fine.
What's that?
That's it.
We didn't hear the chance of whatever. I heard sun.
We've got a couple of comments in here, and Dylan, I'm going to roll through them. Mike James wants to know when you're going to go race it in Newfoundland, Brent.
When he finds me a car.
Okay, well, Patty's got a car, so I'm pretty sure we can figure that out.
And a ticket.
Well,
that
might be an issue.
I'm going to make the laundry list of demands so that it's impossible to fill.
I mean, you can hop in with me on September 18th. There's a 100-lap race over there. So I mean,
why
that's
wasn't I offered?
Because are you a race car driver?
Because
I own one.
Do you drive your lawn ornament? Like, what's up with that? Barry Richard says Hazard is awesome. By the way, did you know that Bob Goodwin's racing a car in Miramichi in a couple of weeks?
Really?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
We have a grudge match between him and Riley.
This will be good.
Yeah. Okay. So
I might go for that.
We've already sold
that.
We've already sold a couple of tickets to Miramichi.
I'm doing tech though. Tell him I'm doing tech.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The tech guy sucks.
Sherry is watching, by the way. We were talking about her earlier before.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, before we started talking. Now, I mentioned that Paul's got an iRacing show to get to, so we got about 4 minutes left before we have to cut this loose. But I know
Is
Paul.
it Five Flags?
Super.
Yeah, no, it's what is it? Loose lugs somewhere at Darlington.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
maybe?
Kentucky.
Anyway.
Kentucky, even worse. Okay, but I know you had some highlights up there, Paul, a little bit earlier. I don't know if you still have the YouTube clip up there of the one time that Brent actually won a race on Verdane TV.
Wyatt pushed me. Hey, this guy. Wyatt pushed me to
Speedway.
that.
So the NEP series is coming back. So let's talk about the series that will be on Verdane TV here in a month or so. Have you done any testing? Are you excited? Is Corey going to beat you again? Are you going to finish 16th every week? What's the plan?
Super excited for that series. I tell a lot of people about that series because the guys are competitive enough that it's a lot of fun and it's serious enough. But if something happens, they don't like completely fly off the handle, and they're loose enough with stuff that it's a lot of fun. So that entire group is just a blast, and I made a lot of friends that I've actually never met yet, but I really love running those races. So pretty excited for that. This year we're running our real life cars. So we're running the Xfinity cars, but it'll be painted just like Little Orphan Annie here behind us. So pretty excited for that. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Done some testing. Gotten taken out by Michael Hopkins a couple times already. Corey has virtually killed me a couple times. So yeah, pretty par for the course.
Yeah, and I think the coolest thing is that we were watching the race in Jennerstown the night we got rained out at 660. I think we all went to Brittany's and watched that race. And I told Denver a couple of times, like, Zane Farrell. I know who that is. Corey
I kept wishing him happy birthday on the streams, hoping they would tell him happy birthday during the race. So it would just completely mess him up. But they didn't do it. Yeah, it's Tony Stevens. You got. I tried. I even sent him a message directly, and it didn't work.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
Dan Eddy asked the tire situation at 660 for the 250.
It's like the weather. We don't talk about tires.
Okay, that's fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. It'll be tight, but we'll be all right.
Scott Kenny wants to know when the Power Wheels race is going to be on the weekend. Is it going to be Saturday?
We are not having Power Wheel races.
Let me race.
Weekend.
I'll do it.
We don't have minivans. Can't race the minivans.
No, he doesn't race minivans. He just looks at them and owns them.
At least he did more laps than you did, Brandon.
No, I did more than 3.
Hey,
both ended up in the infield, so we'll leave it at that.
By the way, to close off the show before we go into Paul's loose lugs and whatever he wants to, TCM 300 is coming up. We announced the date. It's November 19th. All the information coming up at the end of September. Brandon says it is going to be the super late model. It's going to be at the full ring. So that's not
better. It's better than Five Flags.
It's better than Five Flags, but we've already had that conversation of some races coming up that may or may not be at Five Flags. I want to thank all our marketing partners as well for helping us out here this evening, and you're going to see a few of them throughout as well on the Tim's Corner side of things. We're going to wrap this up because Paul's got to get going. Scotia Speedworld Friday night, timscorner.tv, CarStar Weekly Racing Series. It's going to be dry. We're going to race. All our divisions Friday night at 7. If you're not there, the great thing is you can watch it from Speedway 660. So when you're watching the Speed Weekend kickoff on the racetrack on Friday night, you can tune in on your smartphone and watch us race at Scotia on the Friday night. Saturday, Sunday, Speed Weekend, going to be a good time. I know Mike James is watching. Give a shout out to Eastbound. They're racing this weekend as well with the Shamrock City 100. Going to be a great weekend. Oyster Bed finishes their season off on Monday. Lake Dowsett's racing on Sunday. Get to a racetrack, enjoy some racing here this weekend. Going to be a fun weekend, but obviously Speed Weekend is the show this weekend at Speedway 660. We'll have all the information on timscorner.ca, speedway660.com, all that fun stuff. That's going to do it for us this evening. We lost track of time, boys. So for Denver Magic, Dylan Langell, Brandon Campbell, Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., Meredith Hay was kicking around somewhere in the background, I think, at some point. My name is Tim Terry. Thank you to all our guests. We will see you on Friday night when we say let's go racing from Scotia Speedworld. Until then, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.